So studying history at A-level and beyond can lead to a number of excellent careers, as diverse as the media, government, heritage organisations, teaching, archives, museums and galleries, the police and law. However, studying history at any level equips you with skills that are attractive to employers. It involves learning about people, how they interact, the motives and emotions that can tear people into rival factions or help them to unite in a common cause. It involves learning about countries, societies and cultures, and this is crucial as so many of today's conflicts have their roots in the past. Learning to locate and sift facts, to identify truth and recognise myth, propaganda and downright lies, certainly never more useful than today. Presenting what you have learned in a way that makes sense to others, whether in graphs, essays or illustrated reports, and having the confidence to defend your findings. All these skills are valuable in a whole range of jobs. So instead of looking at careers in history, you may wish to look beyond that and consider careers where it would help if you studied history. At Crompton House School, we study AQA History A-Level. The A-Level is broken down into 3 components, and these include the 2 examined components, Challenge and Transformation in Britain, 1851 to 1964, and the Sun King, Louis XIV, Europe and France, 1643 to 1715, alongside the non-examined assessment or historical investigation. At Crompton House, our NEA involves a study of the pursuit of African American civil rights in the USA. At the end of year 13, you'll sit 2 examinations for components 1 and 2. These form 80% of your total exam, the remaining 20% forming the NEA. In both exam papers, students will be expected to answer both a compulsory question based on historical interpretations and primary sources, and also 2 essay questions chosen from a choice of 3. The NEA is an essay based on independent research and the evaluation of both historical interpretations and primary sources. You'll be taught by 2 experienced history specialists in both years 12 and 13. One teacher will deliver component 1 and the second teacher will deliver component 2. For the NEA, students will be divided into small groups and will be supervised by a member of the history department. In terms of extracurricular visits, we plan workshops at the People's History Museum in Manchester, a visit to London and the Houses of Parliament, and possibly a visit to Versailles. Component 1 follows the course of British history and Britain's relationship with Ireland in the period 1851 to 1964. In this breadth study, we investigate change and continuity, cause and consequence, through key questions such as how did democracy and political organisations develop in Britain? How important were ideas and ideologies? And how did society and social policy develop? We'll study key individuals and events such as the ministries of Gladstone and Disraeli, the rise of trade unionism, the movements for women's suffrage, the impact of world conflicts and the role of politicians such as David Lloyd George, Neville Chamberlain, Winston Churchill and Clement Attlee, the troubled relationship between Britain and Ireland, the emergence of the welfare state and the rise of youth culture and Beatlemania. Component 2 follows King Louis XIV of France as he tries to establish himself as the leading monarch in 17th century Europe and create absolutist rule. We'll explore how Paris rose up against him when he was just 10 years old and the psychological effect this had on him in later life. We'll learn about how Louis sought to quash the rebellious nobility by trapping them in the luxurious cage of his new palace at Versailles, and then had them competing to perform some strange rituals. Louis XIV was famous for glorious parties, poems and paintings that projected him as the most Christian king. From multiple mistresses to devastating foreign wars, Louis's 72-year reign left an enduring mark on the culture, history and destiny of France. We'll study the ambitious policies of his rule and decide whether he deserves his self-given title, the Sun King. In the course of a 2-week timetable, students will have 9 hours contact time with their teachers in Year 12 and 10 hours in Year 13. As with all A-level subjects, there are high expectations in terms of independent learning at home. Students will be expected to revise their class notes, complete wider reading, and write up responses to examination questions. For those interested in further investigation or in making some preparation for A-level studies, there are a number of resources and suggestions on the school website. We look forward to welcoming you to Crompton House in the future.